Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode number 24 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling podcast. Today is Thursday, October 20th, 2016. And tonight we have a very special show for all of you and got a very special guest. He's a second generation superstar. We got Mr. Leland Race here with us tonight.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and I appreciate you guys having me on your show here. It's a little bit of time confusion as far as where you guys were and where I'm at, but either way, it's working out.
Yes, I'm glad we got it all worked out, and we're here now. We got it all ready to go, and we're on live. So first off, I just want to tell everybody real quick, in case anybody that's listening doesn't know, Leland Race is the son of legendary superstar and WWE Hall of Famer Harley Race. So,
yes, sir.
We got some wrestling royalty in the room tonight with Leland being here, and just want to say I appreciate it, Leland. We all do, and I'm sure the fans listening appreciate it, and we're just gonna do, a nice chill interview and just basically walk through all the phases of your life, what it was like growing up and being in the business, and what you're doing today.
Yeah, man. It's again, I appreciate wrestling royalty, I guess, for what you said. That doesn't really pertain to me. That's my dad, and he did everything in his willpower to make professional wrestling even greater than his, and he really rose the bar. So all the credit goes to him, but nonetheless, I appreciate the very nice words, and I'll be sure to let him know whenever I see him tomorrow that you guys said that, and hopefully we can, make this something worth of fans want to listen to.
Oh, for sure. And Leland, I appreciate it. Just to know that you'll be giving your dad that message, that means a lot. Sure. And I've been a huge fan of his for years, and been a huge fan of professional wrestling, for years, and I just love doing what I'm doing now, getting in these interview settings, and this is a really cool thing to do. And first off, ask you is, when was the first time, and how old were you? I'm assuming it's going to be a very young age, when you first with professional wrestling and decided, what, this is something that I really want to do. I think I'm going to, follow in my father's footsteps, and this is, the profession I want to do for the rest of my life, and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure, yeah. My dad was in professional wrestling for a long time, 40 plus years. And, I wasn't, I'll say, if you want to say it, planned, if you want to call it that way, as far as being on planet Earth. But regardless of that, if I had to give an age number, it was around 10 years old whenever I had pretty much figured out what my dad did for a living. Because, there's, at that point in time, professional wrestling, especially with the Attitude Era and stuff like that, was really starting to pick up. And wrestling was a cool thing to talk about for a niche group of people. Oh, it just is what it is. And at that point in time, that's when I started to figure out. I knew a little bit before that my dad was a professional wrestler, but you don't really understand the I guess impact that he had in professional wrestling. Because again, at the height of his career, 60s, 70s, and 80s. A little bit in the 90s, but the most, notoriety that he achieved came from those 3 decades. And so I wasn't around, especially with a half a brain as to what my dad did. I wasn't around that early. And, Starcade happened and all that stuff, and obviously there was no WWE network or really videotapes, DVDs, whatever you want to call it. There was tape trading, but at 6 years old, what do you know? You don't know how to tape trade or anything like that. And but when I was, like I said, I was about 10 years old. That's when I really started to kick in what I to do my entire life. And at 10 years old, people, they don't know a whole lot. That's just the long and short of it. But I knew at that point in time that's what I wanted to do for my life, and that was to be a professional wrestler. I thought it would just be a great thing to partake in, and I had my mind set. That's what I was going to do. And I'd go with my dad to events here and there. He really wanted me to focus on school and make sure that I had something to fall back on if I wanted to go that route, instead of going in there 15, 16 years old like he did. And the big difference is that he achieved the level of success, and he didn't have to have something to fall back on, if that makes any sense. He was wrestling for, like I said, 40 plus years, 15 years old, and that's when he started. And he started out wrestling for Gus Karras up in St. Joe, Missouri, doing the carnival circuits and stuff like that. And then he really got a good opportunity when he was driving Happy Humphrey around. And if people don't know who Happy Humphrey is, he was a 750-pound gentleman that was a very popular wrestler, especially in the carnival circuit. He went through my dad went through the upbringing of professional wrestling the hard way. And believe me, taking care of a 750-pound guy from town to town, one night of the week, it is extremely hard. And I wanted to do it the same thing. I wanted to go, not necessarily drive Happy Humphrey around, but I wanted to earn my keep and do professional wrestling. And his start of his career was much different than what it was when I decided that I wanted to do that for my life. I guess to answer your question, about 20 minutes ago, I was about 10 years old when I really wanted to start doing it, and it just went on from there.
That your dad, just hearing what you spoke of and how your dad had to go through, go through everything the hard way, and everything that he did, it's just fantastic. And getting to grow up in the middle of all this and falling in love with it at 10 years old. I know you spoke of it was I think it was shortly before. It was either right before or right after you spoke of Happy Humphrey, when you said that you used to go to wrestling events with your dad. Now, I could imagine going to those events when you're at the age of 10. Like, you're around all these figures that are larger, all these superstars that are larger than life, and they kind of had to feel like superheroes in a sense, I would imagine. And I guess the question that I have for you is, what are some fondest memories that you have of going to events with your dad? And, which guys did you get to meet? And, what were they like, and all that good stuff?
To go to events with my dad is I started, like I said, I wasn't really the, planned child, but, stuff happens. And like I said, but being able to go to some of the events, he was on his way out of professional wrestling when I would go, and managing WCW and stuff like that. I would get to meet a lot at that time. A lot of the WCW superstars. Obviously Rick was a person that a lot of people would love to meet, and I would see him regularly. Arn Anderson, Full Horseman was probably some of the most favorite of people that I would like to be around. And because even back then I knew that they were great professional wrestlers at that point. So, of course, Ricky Steamboat, you said the prior guest on your show, Richie. I know Richie very well, and he's just a great human being, much like his dad. His dad is nothing short of being one of the greatest human beings walking the face of the planet, much less professional wrestlers. And Richie falls into the same category. And you know, a lot of people there, you know, you would see, and sometimes you almost, I don't want to say take for granted as often as you do, but you know, it's kind of hard to see. Remember who you saw.
I could just imagine, you know, getting to be backstage with the Four Horsemen. I've had the pleasure of actually meeting Rick and Tully. I met Tully last year in Dallas for WrestleMania, and then I met Rick, you know, the year before for WrestleMania 31 in California. And then WrestleMania in Atlanta is when I met Arn Anderson. And I'll tell you, those guys, at least to their fans, it's very much, you know, like you spoke of. You just wanted to be around them. They were great guys and just fantastic human beings.
Right. You know, the Four Horsemen, they were it, man. That was, you know, I don't say for their time period, because, you know, my dad was a tiny bit, a little bit different time period than the Four Horsemen. It was shortly before. But regardless of that, you know, he was shortly before them. The Four Horsemen were the, you know, late 80s, early 90s, and depending on which version of WCW you're talking about, depending on, you know, whether they were loved or hated, which version of the Four Horsemen, you know, with Ole Anderson and Arn Anderson and Barry Windham and Ric Flair. Then you had Brian Pillman and Benoit, Stephen Michael, Dean Malenko, you know, whatever version of them you're talking about. You know, there's all of them were very talented, and all of them were extremely great to their fans and to each other, like to the wrestlers' families backstage, because at the end of the day, you know, wrestlers in the wrestling community, it's a brotherhood, and whichever, you know, I was hard related as a kid, then I was treated not only because of who he was, but I was also because of the day.
Yes. And also, I know that you spoke of Ricky Steamboat and Richie Steamboat. What fantastic human beings they are. And Richie, I never had the pleasure to meet as of yet. Ricky, I did, and I can tell you, you know, everything that you said about Ricky is 100% on point, because just like that, and you get that sense of him when you're in his presence. So it's it's definitely 100% true. You know, Ricky is one of a kind, and hopefully one of these days, you know, get to run across Richie, and you know what?
Yeah, you know, Ricky, you know, and I'm not sitting here trying to talk too much, because I could talk 24 hours straight on how great of a human being he is. We just had him into our promotion that we run up here, and you know, his mind is still great as far as being in the zone of a professional wrestler to be the best out there. And he, you know, I was throwing Ricky Steamboat arm drags in my match, and he was a special guest referee, and to have him come up to me and said, "Good arm drag, kid. Great looking arm drag." That tells me, you know, that gives me something that people really can't put into words. A sense of accomplishment, I guess. To have the master of the arm drags, Ricky Steamboat, tell me that is great to hear. You know, can't hear enough. And Richie, at the Party Race Wrestling Academy, before he got signed to NXT, and before he made a 3-month tour of Japan. And actually, the guy that my dad sent me to, George South, who was based in just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, also had a hand in training Richie. So it's kind of, you know, we had a lot in common. And Richie is just a great dude.
That is 100% right, and it's amazing, like what a small world, I guess, and what a tight knit community, that the professional wrestling community is, and like you said, it is a brotherhood. It really is, because I get that sense, just from with people such as yourself, and like watching the documentaries. It really does seem like a brotherhood, and I got to tell you, we talked about your early years, and I guess what I want to move on to now, like you fell in love with the business at 10 years old.
Yes, sir.
When did you start your training, and who did you have the pleasure of training with?
I started, like I said, the first thing my dad told me was that if I wanted to do wrestling, then I had to at least finish high school, and he preferred if I went to college. I'll finish high school. He wanted me to go train under a guy, like I said, by the name of George South, who I'm lucky enough to have had being trained by him. But I had to move 1,000 miles away from home because he wanted to figure out how hard it really is on my own. And he also wanted to, I guess, rest assured that I wasn't using his name, so to speak, the Rage name, to try and get a leg up without having to do a whole lot of work favoritism. And so I moved to North Carolina, put myself through college, and was able to go and train under George South for. I stayed out there, and George taught me a heck of a lot. I was busy 52 weeks out of the year, and that's something I'll never ever forget. And I can't thank enough to him. Like I said, I was 17 when I moved out there. I was training 6 days a week, about 6 hours a day, in a little building that I could reach up and touch the ceiling with my hands with, which was great. A lot of people, the Performance Center, I have yet to go to in Orlando. I've seen pictures, but I haven't. And it looks like a world-class facility, and I expect nothing less because of whose brainchild it is, and the company that is running it. They deal with nothing but. George's wasn't that type of facility, and I'm not saying anything bad in the slightest. George is known for being an extremely good trainer, not having to have the 20,000 square foot building that NXT has. And like I said, I could reach up, touch the ceiling, and the ring sat about 6 inches off the ground. And from there, it was training 6 days a week, between 4 to 6 hours a day, and wrestling events on the weekend. And I just enjoyed the heck out of that. I can't say that enough.
It's fond memories that you'll never forget. It's like it's like all the hard work to get the ultimate prize, so to speak.
That's right. It's a lot of people don't really understand how hard it is, and I'm not trying to I don't say generalize, but put all the people in today's wrestling world, all the young people, because I have 14 years underneath my belt. I've been doing this since 2003. Actually. But kids out there today don't really understand how hard it is. They just want stuff handed to them, and that makes me mad because it's just something that you got to work, you got to earn, and a lot of people just want to hand it to them. But I'm not of that mind frame. I want everything that I want. I'm going to work and bust my hind end to get hand it over to.
That's that's the perfect attitude to have, and that hardworking attitude, and it just makes your reward all the much sweeter in the end too. To know that you did it, you on your own rather than having it handed to you. So I totally agree with you on that point.
Sure, yeah. It just makes it sweeter at the end of the day. And I am happy to say that, yes, my dad, Harvey Race, 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And everything that he earned, he did it by himself. He didn't have to have anything handed to him. He is a man's man, and there ain't honestly, I hate to say it, but there's not a damn soul out there that could tell him otherwise. And he is the type of person that if he really wanted to get it and do it, he'd do it. And with no questions asked.
Even because I've also heard stories too, over the years about how your dad was a naturally a really tough guy as well.
Yeah,
one of the baddest dudes on the planet.
Yeah, there's a story out there, and some people can. So I'm sure some people have heard it, have read it, whatever. Andre the Giant, who was 7 foot plus, anywhere depending on the day, between 500 and 700 pounds plus. And he said that he was scared of only two people, not scared, but respected to the point where he'd back off of two people. Ming and the other one being Harley Race. So that in itself speaks volumes.
Oh yes, that basically speaks all the words you need to be spoken right there.
Yeah, off of a guy that could eat a whole lot of people in today's world for breakfast.
Oh yeah. I mean, believe me, I've heard stories about Andre too. He's a man that that was able to tip cars with his bare hands, and
yeah, sometimes one-handed, depending on how much alcohol he had in his system.
Oh, I'll tell you, those days in the 80s, those were like the glory days of wrestling, and some of the greatest.
They don't make them like they used to, man. That's for sure. And they don't make people like they did back then. I wish I knew where the production line stopped at, but you just got to go with what you know.
Well, hey, you know what? At least there's still a few good people out there, like you and like Richie Steamboat, hard-working guys that are still in it. It's like you guys could be staples for this, new era, and really show these other young guys how it's done. Because it seems, as far as from what I'm hearing from you so far, and what you've told me about Richie, and even when I spoke to Richie as well, it seems like you guys still have that old school formula where you're really busting your butts out there.
Yeah, Richie, I had first met Richie, this was back before 2008, because I moved back home in, what is this year, 2006. It's been 8 years exactly since I moved back home, to the very day, actually. Today is the day that I moved back to Missouri. And Richie moved out here, I want to say about 6 months before I did. His dad wanted the absolute, and I'm sure you heard this, but the absolute best of training. And he started with George South, then came to the Harley Race Wrestling Academy. And because of the connection and the respect that is had for my dad across the globe, he then went on to Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan for 3 months. And he did his 3-month stint there in 2000, and that was 2008. It's late 2008, early 2009, and then I did my stint in 2010.
Yeah, Richie, he did speak of Pro Wrestling Noah. Oh, yeah, I know. I definitely know about that, and I'll tell you, these are some amazing, amazing stories. And now, we're getting through about your training end of it, and the next question I have in line for you is, I would ask, when you finally got through all the training. This is basically like a 2-part question here. When you finally got through all the training and you found out, that you were finally able to do your own bookings, that you graduated from the training, that you were able to go pro. Like, what did that feel like? And secondly, if you can remember, who was your very first pro match against?
Yeah, actually, the first part of your question, I started training. It was March of 2003, freshman year of college. Like I said, I was training 6 days a week, and we think, and that there comes a point in professional wrestling school where the students, in order to further their learning, they have to be put in front of the crowd. And odds are the student, whoever it is, that is going to be put in front of the crowd, they're going to basically crap their pants because they feel that they're not ready because they want to have 5-star matches all the time. And that's not how this business works. I was a month in, and George said, you are going to wrestle. It was April 23rd, 2003. 21st, 2003. And in a little tiny town called Concord, North Carolina, it was an event that he was putting on at his school. He did a weekly show on Saturdays whenever he wasn't running another town or doing a ring rental or whatever the case may have been. And my first match was against Chris Hefner. It was just an eye-opening experience for me because you can learn all the moves, you can do all these drills that I did and I still do here at my dad's training school. And I am the head trainer at my dad's school. And I run these kids through the same drills, but there comes a point in time where you gotta shut up and basically just the crowd is doing it. And there's nothing in the world that can emulate that except being in front of the crowd. Now, don't get me misconstrued because there's a lot of people that are in professional wrestling that call themselves quote unquote professional wrestlers that don't even train. They go buy their stuff off the internet or go to a sporting goods store and buy their stuff there. And that, number one, it shows, first and foremost, if you buy your stuff anywhere but from an actual gear maker or bootmaking company, professional wrestling bootmaking company, you're going to look like a $10 wrestler. And, those guys just go out there and try to call themselves professional wrestlers. Don't train, don't try to better themselves, and don't try to learn the right way of doing things. There's a lot of right ways, and there's definitely a wrong way. But in order to get better, you have to be trained. You have to be trained by people that have been there and done it. And, when you do, you know that it's right. I've trained at 3 different wrestling schools, 15 years of being involved in professional wrestling, and I've seen some crap ones too. And to know that you're doing it right, you don't get a big head. I'm not saying that. What you do is you get a great feeling because I'm accomplishing something good when it does go right. And when I did that my first match, man, it was like I said, it was an eye-opening experience because to go out there and to do the moves is one thing in training, but when you're put in front of a crowd that's either loves you, hates you, to love you or love to hate you, one of the two, or any one of those combinations is totally different than anything you could be put in front of in a group of your peers who share the same love and enthusiasm for professional wrestling that you do.
Yes, you know what? It's just know what it's like, being in the crowd, and I've seen a few debuts in my time, of people getting in the ring, and I'll tell you, it's it's special, for the person that, of course, is putting on the match. It's also special for the fan, to look out there and be like, wow, this new guy getting in the ring, he could be the future of this business. It's like you never know. It's an unsung, like tale of who's, who could be the next big thing.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too is that fans out there today, they love to see new stars being made. And to be quite frank with you, there's not enough stars being made, and that falls on two different halves of the coin. This is the promoter or booker or whatever you want to call it, and then the other part is on the individuals who wants to be a star but doesn't want to put forth the work effort to be a star, and it's a give and take relationship with that. You got all these big-headed guys who think they deserve stuff, even though they've been involved in wrestling for a year or two and travel from one city to the next, and that's all they travel. And man, that's the wrong attitude to have. Try traveling from town to town, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday, not being around your family, and putting on a match that people are going to be captivated with from start to finish. And then you could have a little bit of room to talk. There's a great group of professional wrestlers out there today, guys who really have the opportunity to get better. They just choose not to, and they really bring down the whole work ethic and people's viewpoints on professional wrestling as a whole.
Yeah, you know what it's like you could kind of tell too, like in the indies too, like if you go to an indie show, like you could tell which guys kind of have the bigger heads on them and which ones are the more humble guys. And it's like, throughout my experiences seeing shows, it's like the ones that I come across that are the more humble guys are usually the ones that end up going the farthest in the business.
Yeah, that is very true, and there's no denying that at all. You always have to remember where you came from, and you always got to know that, being patient and being ready to go at the drop of a dime for whatever the position may call for is essential. There's a lot of people out there that are crude and that are rude, and this is just the point blank professional wrestling that will step on your toes to get to the next step. And man, it's I guess it is not great to hear that, but in the same sense, it happens every day. People just aren't aware of it.
And you know what? That's what this is all about. Coming out here and telling the truth of what it's all about. And I appreciate you opening up on this level.
Sure. It's professional wrestling is something great, and don't get me wrong. Like, I love it, and I will always love it, and it's the only thing that I've wanted to do since I've been 10 years old. But a lot of people think that this is just glitz and glamour, man, and it ain't. Trying to raise your family and take care of your wife, girlfriend, whatever the case is, and 4 dogs, and his wrestling company. Man, it's a hard beast. If you'll love it, you'll do it. And there's not anything that I would trade with my life in the slightest and replace or anything like that, because it's just how much it means to me.
That is fantastic to hear. You know what? I feel, I know it's different, as far as a performer standpoint, but, to a fan standpoint, but like, for me, just watching it as a fan, like everything that you just described, how you love it so much, I feel that same love. Whenever I turn on that TV or I'm in the audience at a show, I feel that same love and appreciation towards the superstars that put their bodies on the line for it, our entertainment. And, I got to tell you, from a fan standpoint, believe me when I say I love them like anybody else too.
And, yeah, there's
Lost your audio.
And I've been, tinkering with it here. Sean, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
I guess Sean can't hear me yet. So I tried to, I tinker around with
Yeah, you came back. Sorry, I didn't. My mic was on mute. I was talking and I wasn't going through.
back now.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that, Leland. I apologize.
Hey, no problem.
It may happen again. I don't know. I can't, guarantee. It's got a mind of its own, but I'm trying to think of the spot where we were at. I know I just finished up and you just started talking. Um, I guess continue off of where we were, if you remember. I remember I said that, believe me when I say that what you described as far as love for the business, it's like I really do feel like I share that same level of love for it, like you do.
Yeah, there's like I said, my dad's Hall of Fame induction for the WWE. I was watching it again the other night, and he really hit the nail on the head. He was saying he's no better. He's no better than the people that were in that building to see him as a fan, as a wrestler, and he always looked at himself no better than any other person in that building, or in any building, or in anywhere in life. And I always keep that in the back of my head because, man, there's a lot of people out there who do think that they're better, and for no reason whatsoever. And it's sickening, it's disheartening, but it is what it is.
I was gonna ask Leland about that Hall of Fame night in 2004. It must have been pretty incredible. I'm just gonna refresh everyone's memory here. I honestly believe it's the greatest Hall of Fame class of all time. The Hall of Fame was on a hiatus for 8 years before the class of 2004.
That year, yeah.
Yep, and it was Greg the Hammer Valentine, Jesse the Body Ventura, Junkyard Dog, Sergeant Slaughter, Superstar Billy Graham, Tito Santana, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Don Morocco, and of course, your father, WWE Hall of Famer, Harley Race was inducted by the Nature Boy Ric Flair, one of his great rivals from the NWA. Sorry. What was that night like? I mean, that is honestly the most incredible night in wrestling history when you just go over that list. WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden. As a son, I don't think you could ever be any prouder.
No, he's been inducted to several Hall of Fames, and not one is better than the other. It's all to see and hear the recognition that he got and he continues to get from people that are his peers, from his fans, and everybody in between. But to be inducted into the biggest Hall of Fame, and as far as professional wrestling is concerned, is awesome. And coming off of like you said, a hiatus that the Hall of Fame did for that period of time and knowing that he's going to be inducted with one of his very good friends, Bobby Heenan. It was great for them to share the stage together. Is just I guess for one last time for all of conversation's sake is just awesome. And I know he was very proud of that moment. He displays that plaque in his office to this very day, and he still has his Hall of Fame ring that he keeps right beside his bed every single day, and that's how much it means to him. It is to have something like that his work even with Vince McMahon Sr. That's how far it dates back. And it was, it's just, to him, it's something that nobody's ever going to be able to touch and nobody's ever going to be able to take away.
Yep. That is spectacular. I mean, Where do you get to watch the video of that? Do you have your own copy, or is that available on YouTube for people to see?
Well, it's on YouTube. I'm sure of that. We have a physical copy of that DVD here at his office, and it's on the WWE Network, the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Deal on there. You can search for it. It's done by year, and you can search by the years 2004.
Everyone's gonna be doing that.
I'm sure there's going to be a large influx of people on the WWE Network as we speak, right?
Yes, definitely.
I gotta ask you, Leland, because I know this is when you were training and you started getting your own career underway. I know you started in 2003.
Yeah.
When your dad had the honor of being inducted in 2004, were you able to make the trip down to New York with him and be there live for the induction?
No, I was not. I was actually
Audio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, pardon the intermission, but Big T and Leland Race will be right back with us. Hope everyone gets to check out the 2004 WWE Hall of Fame presentation on the network.
on that night.
You're back. Oh, we lost you again. Okay, so like I said, 2004 WWE Hall of Fame class, the comeback class, if you will. WWE felt so strongly about those guys that they needed to be honored in that Hall of Fame that they brought it back, and it's never looked back since.
Sick.
Check it out. We got Big T and Leland Race back on the show.
Is it working?
It is working.
All right, Leland, I'm sorry. Let's hope this works better here. Okay, thank you. So we were at the part of the Hall of Fame induction in 2004. I know you said you were out wrestling and you couldn't make the induction.
Yeah, and he was totally understanding of that, and believe me, because he had to forfeit stuff like that during his career, and he totally understood. And I was on the phone with him a couple hours preceding the whole deal, and after, so he understood. And do I wish I could make it? Yeah. Did I wish I could make it? Yeah. But in the same sentence, he knew and still knows that I can't make everything that he does, and he can't make everything that I do.
That's your hard work.
It's just part of the beast.
That's part of that's the life of a professional wrestler, so to speak.
That's 100% right. It's quite vastly different now than what it was during his era, during the era of Ric Flair and territory days and everything like that. It's a little bit, I don't want to say easier now, because it's not easier, especially if you're wrestling for WWE and all the bigger companies like that. It's like I said, a little bit different, but know that he was a part of something, and still is a part of something as well respected as the WWE Hall of Fame. And to see every time the WWE comes to town, he goes there to say hey to his friends and his coworkers and his peers, and man, the respect that he gets from Mr. McMahon himself is just unbelievable. I witnessed this the last time they were in St. Louis, and he went up and he gave both Vince, gave him a hug, and vice versa, man. And just to see that amount of respect that still is put out there today on both parties is just incredible.
I'll tell you, just hearing that, it gave me chills, just to even think about it. And the respect that it sounds like they have for each other, that had to be an incredible moment to witness.
Yeah, it's great to see it, but that there's not going to be a select few people see it because it's not publicized and it's not, no cameras around to see it. And that's what makes it even better.
Yeah, you know what? I definitely agree with you. Like, even though I'm I'm in the business, so like doing interviews and getting stories and the inside scoop and all that stuff. I even have to admit, being basically a member of the wrestling media myself, I even have to admit that I would prefer for moments like that to remain, private, because that is something that should be private. And, wrestlers like your dad and yourself deserve to have special moments, just as we do. And, I'm glad that you guys are able to have, a private moment like that. That's a very nice thing.
Sure. You're right.
I was wanting to ask Leland, do you follow like the current WWE product? And if you do, I was wondering if you had any thoughts on, your dad's friend Ric Flair's daughter being in the Hell in a Cell match next Sunday.
Yeah, I do follow it. I don't get the chance to watch it, whenever they are on, and that's the beautiful thing about the WWE Network is, even the stuff that airs tonight, or whatever said night it airs, will be on there shortly after, and also let's forget YouTube and everything is of sorts. But I do watch it. So I don't get to watch it as often as most people do, but the Hell in a Cell deal with Rick's daughter, Charlotte. First things first, she is a very, and she is involved in a business that has changed dramatically from the era of Ric Flair and Harley Race and Ricky Steamboat and all the people that came before her. But she also, I know, has a respect for those people that came before her. And in this history-making Hell in a Cell is you can't put it in the works, really. I mean, what can you say? She's going to be in the main event at this pay-per-view coming up. I believe is it this Sunday or next?
It's next Sunday, the October 30th. And yeah, I did hear the rumors that they're considering having that match close the show and be the main event, which is huge when that report hit.
Yeah, I believe her and either Sasha Banks or somebody else, NXT one time at one of their live specials, and she's done it once, and it sounds like it might happen again. And if it does, then they're making leaps and bounds, and that's a good thing.
I was just wondering on a personal, would you ever consider a career with the WWE, or are you more comfortable where you're at with your promotion out in Missouri?
That's kind of hard to answer. What I consider, oh yeah, for sure. Anybody who gets involved in this industry has dreams and aspirations of making it to the big time. And the big time right now is WWE.
Yeah.
I always strive to have the challenge of making ourselves better. So I will be moving on from where I'm at right now. WLW, my dad's company, World League Wrestling, has been around since 1999. So with that being said, it's going to continue to be around. Kids, a great group of students, guys and girls alike, that share the same love and share the same enthusiasm that I do and our current students do and the people that came before us do. They don't, necessarily need to have me around. I love being around, and I'm involved much more than just a wrestling aspect. I help set up the ring. I help run the events. A whole lot of aspects. I'm learning how to run a professional wrestling company, not just being involved in just the wrestling aspect. And it's a lot more challenging when you take on that side of the stick than just being a professional wrestler. It's WWE. Yeah, that's going to be something that I will, whenever I get to that bridge, I'll cross it, so to speak. And just shy under a month now, I'm actually traveling to Japan. I was actually just having a conversation earlier with my dad as far as some of the top places that he looks forward to going to in his career and returning to, the keyword being returning to. And Japan was one of those top two places. The other one was St. Joe, Missouri, where he got his start. And I'm going to be making a return trip to Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling here in next month. Now, that's always been a big career aspiration for me, was to make a full-time schedule in Japan, and that's what I'm aiming to look forward to coming out of this.
Man, that is so awesome about with your dad's organization and you helping out with that. I don't think it gets enough credit, but me and Todd, we love indie wrestling. So many wrestling fans appreciate the hard work and everything that you guys put into wrestling organizations. I'm going to a indie wrestling show, PPW, Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling, this weekend up here in PA, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's something really special, and I'm sure no matter what you choose to do, having working with your dad out there in Missouri, that you'll never really be able to get close to that, because indie wrestling is very special, and it's the heart and soul of the business.
There's a lot of great organizations, and within those great organizations, there's a lot of great up-and-coming professional wrestlers. And when people go to those independent wrestling events, they get to see just that. They get to see tomorrow's generation of professional wrestling, and that's a great thing and it's a bad thing, all of the same sense. But we're not here to talk about the bad. We're here to talk about the good.
Yeah.
After I had left Charlotte, there was a brief period of time where I had moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was training under the banner, so to speak, Deep South Wrestling, and at the time it was a WWE developmental territory, and I was there when the transition happened from Bill DeMott to Tom Pritchard, and my aspect never had once had any type of bad run-in or issues with either one of the two. I got to learn over the years. I've got to learn a lot from Tom Pritchard, and one of the things that has always stuck out in my mind was something that he said just about a week prior to Deep South Wrestling closing, and that was if you want to be a success in professional wrestling, you have to learn every aspect of this business. How to make flyers, how to print them, how to where to hang them, how to make and sell tickets, setting up the ring, taking down the ring, how to book the cards. Every aspect of this business you need to learn. And everybody has different definitions of success, and I totally get that. There's a lot of people out there who just want to be professional wrestlers, and that's all fine and well. But lately, when I undertook this responsibility of helping run World League Wrestling, my dad's company, I definitely bit off more than I could chew. But man, I wouldn't take it away and return it if I was paid to.
Now,
it ain't easy, but it's worth it.
It definitely isn't easy. That is a given. But knowing that I'm learning something more than just how to be a professional wrestler, awesome. And knowing what goes into putting on not only a professional wrestling event, but keeping a professional wrestling company alive is something that, like I said, that nobody else in this world few know how to do right. And I'm proud to say that I do it right from my viewpoint.
Now I got to tell you, Leland, and your dad's company, World League Wrestling. Um, because I've done some research. I always do research before, I do interviews, and I always brush up on everything, of course, as anybody would. And I read in World League Wrestling that you were the world heavyweight champion there in your dad's promotion.
Time WWE heavyweight champion, and currently number one contender as it stands right now for that title.
When you finally had the opportunity to take that title and have that moment in the sun to be a world champion, who was your match against, and when that final 3 count hit and you were crowned champion, what was the feeling like?
My first heavyweight title win was against a guy by the name of Brian Breaker, who was a former NXT superstar, Brandon Traven, when he was there back in 2012. And you're never ever ready for that period in a discussion. And at that point in time, I looking back, I don't think I was ready, and never really know what that means until it happens. And the second time around, I believe I was ready. It was experience. I'll definitely say that as far as winning that title for the first time. After that, looking back at it now, you can always say, all right, maybe I should have done this wrong, or maybe I should have done this differently, or whatever the case may have been. But I've definitely given myself a little bit more preparation because I was ready, but I just didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And my second go around was something that I was really proud of. And I still really am. And just because it was a lot that went into it, and I just enjoyed the heck out of it. And there's no other way to say it. And the third go around is something that again, I was really proud of, and I still really am proud of. And it just comes along with territory. Knowing that you're the best in any given promotion, in any given town, or whatever the case is something that nobody could ever really put into words. So it's pretty cool knowing that whenever you wear that heavyweight championship title gold, that you are representing the best, because that's what you are. You're the best. You're representing that company or whoever it is.
I'm sure one of the most incredible moments of your career.
Yeah, it's definitely, without a doubt, saying that is 100% accurate. Knowing that when you step out there, pretty much in your underwear and pair of boots, you are the champion, and you are the best. And the offer is. And I don't have any bad thing to say about that.
Now, what do you prefer mostly? Do you prefer to play the role of the babyface, or do you prefer to play the role of the heel when you wrestle?
Sure. Best way to describe it is that, if people don't like what I do, that's up to them. And, some people like it, some people hate it, but a lot of times that, my dad was heel, and that's 90% of his career. And it is easier for me to be a heel, but at the end of the day, is I go out there and I do what I do best, and that's be better of the 2, 4, 8, 32, however many people are involved in the match. That's because that's what I've been groomed to do. It's what's in my blood, and that is what I will always do as long as I'm standing on 2 feet.
That's,
Audio. Well, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait to get Big T and Leland Race back on the show, let me tell you, I'm going to ask Leland about this in a couple minutes. HarleyRace.com, Saturday, November 5th, 2016, and Saturday, November 12th, 2016. You could get tickets. You could go see Leland Race at the show. You're back, Big T, and I was just telling everyone on the show, HarleyRace.com is the place to get the tickets for WLW's wrestling show this November 5th and November 12th. It's a very nice, professional, awesome layout website, very easy, good stuff, and maybe Leland could tell us, a little bit about what fans could expect at the WLW show on the 5th and 12th of November.
That sounds fantastic to me. What do you got coming, Leland?
Sure, yeah. November the 5th, World League Wrestling, we actually have our own arena. We built it from the ground up, and believe me when I say you're supposed to get to where we are at as far as the race wrestling arena. It's taken 2 years, but man, it's been an awesome 2 years. It's really almost 3 years now. We've built everything from the ground up. Stage life, it's our own arena, very reminiscent of the Crockett wrestling arena. In the Crockett era of professional wrestling with Jim Crockett Promotions. We have an event on November the 5th. It's actually the last one that's going to be held in Troy, Missouri, our home base. And it's going to be we're actually doing a canned food drive for the local food pantry here in this county, Lincoln County. And fans get to come in. They bring 5 canned food items. They get a ticket to enter to win 6 free months of the WWE Network. If they bring in 10, they'll get 2 tickets. And it just all goes to a great cause, especially during the holiday season, which is coming up. We can need to snap a finger. And I'll be wrestling that night. My dad, like always, he'll be there, signing autographs, meeting the great fans that support WLW and have supported him throughout his entire career. And fans will get to find out who the next special guest will be. And believe me when I say that it's going to be a great announcement. Fans miss it. And believe me when I say that. Tickets are only $10 a ticket to get in. And you can't beat that. You can't even go to a movie theater for $10 a ticket today.
And let me tell you something. Indie wrestling shows are 10 times better than any movie available you could go see for a $12 movie ticket. Trust me. And on top of that, I hope everyone goes and takes as many canned foods as possible. It's so good to hear you guys are involving charity with your foundation and your federation, and it's really great to hear that you guys are giving back to the community, and I could tell that that's really important to you guys.
It's Leland, the next thing. Well, first off, I want to tell the fans, like exactly what Sean said. If you want to witness some of the best wrestling in the Missouri area, go check out WLW at HarleyRace.com. And Leland, I had a couple more questions for you that I wanted to ask.
Sure, by all means, go ahead, bud. And yeah, go check out the website, like you gentlemen were saying. I didn't mean to cut you off, Todd. Go check out the website. We have another event November the 12th. We have a 2-day beginners camp taking place. It's a great opportunity for people who want to get their feet wet as far as wrestling training is like. I have an event tomorrow night in Leland, Missouri. We're staying busy, and that's the way it's going to be.
Wow.
Fantastic. So I hope everybody comes and they check it out and they go to these events. If you're in the Missouri area, trust me, and just like Leland just told all of you, if you're in the Missouri area or you're going to be in the area, check it out.
Todd, there you go, man. Your training camp.
Hey, you know what? maybe, you know what, that sounds like a good place to me.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, on November the 5th, you guys, you'll get to find out who the next big superstar is, and he's a multiple-time world heavyweight champion in a couple of different companies. I've been told to keep my mouth shut. And I can give all the hints that I want. It doesn't give away who it is. Multiple-time world heavyweight champion, tag team champion in multiple companies. He's wrestled all around the globe, and is the hottest free agent in professional wrestling today. And don't worry, it's not me. I promise.
Man, we gotta make a road trip, Todd.
I think we do. You know what? This sounds like something I don't want to miss. It sounds like a must-see event here.
That is another statement there, Todd. A must-see. We're looking forward to kicking off 2017 with a big bang, and everybody that's a professional wrestling fan out there needs to come to the Race Wrestling Arena on November the 5th. On November the 12th, we're going to be 3 hours away. We're doing a fundraiser for a local high school FCCLA charity group, helping them raise money so they can get to their district championships, I guess, for lack of a better word. The word escapes me, the right word escapes me, but competitions, I think is the correct word. But over 30 kids to their competition, and if they don't have any help from us, they have to pay out of pocket. And so we're coming in there, we're raising funds so they don't have to spend money out of their pocket to attend these competitions. And so, and you guys hit it right on the head. World League Wrestling, none of that stuff would be around without the people supporting it. And we're here to help give back to the people so they can continue to support it.
So cool. So
great stuff. Now, Leland, I saw like a video of you from, I believe it was August of 2015. It was a video of you with former WWE tag team champion Trevor Murdoch. And
Yes, sir.
you guys were doing, I believe, like some kind of backstage promo, and Trevor Murdoch, he was talking about you and everything. And one curious question I had: number one, was he managing you in your run as champ? And number two, did he give you any kind of advice or insight, as far as WWE goes?
No, we were actually tag team partners. To put us together for a couple of different reasons. One, because what better tag team than Race and Murdoch? And that dates back to even his era. Big Murdoch and Harley Race. I mean, almost indestructible as far as professional wrestling is concerned. And he wanted to try and not duplicate that, but fans see that the names of Race and Murdoch were still relevant today. And when he tagged, that was one reason. The other reason he tagged us is so I can learn. I've always been the type of person to where I've been, I don't want to say by myself, but I'd rather be by myself. Seamless competition, in other words. In order to better prepare myself for whatever may be going my way, he wanted me and him, me and Trevor Murdoch, to form a tag team, and Trevor was a WWE tag team champion 3 times over. And so what better person to learn from than Trevor himself? And, Trevor helped me tremendously up until August 29th of last year, where he flipped to the bad side, so to speak, and took a steel chair and whacked me outside the skull with it. But up until that point, I mean, we were going together like peanut butter and jelly.
I'll tell you, because I remember watching Trevor Murdoch, tag teaming with the late Lance Cade. when they were tag champs, and
Absolutely.
I remember they went on a run, and oh yeah, definitely Race and Murdoch. Those are, two very special names that are very rich in history throughout the professional wrestling business, and to see a new age of Race and Murdoch happen, in this millennium had to be pretty special.
What two better names to put together than Race and Murdoch? And I think that if everything was done correct in a perfect world, we raise hell in any type of company that we wanted to go into.
And it's a great bottom line, and I'll tell you, it's very special, and I appreciate you sharing all this insight and all these special memories. And I guess one last thing I have for you, I'm trying to remember if I have everything that I wanted to ask, but one last thing I wanted to talk with you about is you're getting prepared to with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the next
Correct,
month.
yes, sir.
Now, do they have programs set up for you as far as who you're going to be facing? And well, I guess I should say, if they don't, who are some of the names in New Japan Pro that you would love to work with while you're out there?
Well, not my schedule, so to speak, right now. I do know that I'm going to be involved in the I don't know if it's called the G1 Tag Tournament. It's a tournament held every year that several tag teams come across the globe come and participate with, and myself, as well as former WWE Heavyweight Champion and NXT Superstar Brian Breaker, we're going over there as a team representing WLW, and I'm representing my dad, and as well as Breaker too. And we're going in there and just going to go, do what we know how to do best, and that's Brad to do since day one.
That's going to be a real fun time. I hope. I don't know if they televise New Japan over here. I wish I could see some of the shows. Maybe I'll have to look for them on YouTube, because I look forward to.
They actually do air it. It's on AXS TV, Access TV. I don't know if it's on in local networks over there or your local TV channel lineup. They do it. As far as who would I like to wrestle, that's kind of your last question. There was New Japan, to me, from a pure wrestling aspect, is I don't want to say, but they are up there as far as top companies in the world from the professional wrestling standpoint, and that's always been a goal of mine, to grow and achieve some type of long-term deal with it. So to go up there and to wrestle someone like the likes at the time, Shinsuke Nakamura wrestled for them, and my God, to go in there and be able to compete against him is something that do, especially in Japan. Another one would be Prince Devitt, now Finn Balor in WWE. Let's see, Tanahashi from New Japan, Okada, and Naito from New Japan. All of the wrestlers there. I love to be in the ring with, just because that's good to have for this industry, and they do things the right way. And who better to be in the ring with than the best, the king of sports, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and their superstars.
And for American fans, you're gonna get to have AXS TV. You're gonna have Jim Ross, another WWE Hall of Famer, commentate on your matches.
Yeah. That's one thing I thought about here recently. Who better to have call your match than the WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross? And I look forward to hearing that and recording that, because there's nobody in this world that could take that away from you. I am really looking forward, hopefully, to having him call at least one match.
That's probably one of the greatest honors to get your match called by good old JR. And you know what? I really hope it happens. And one question about New Japan that just crossed my mind. Now, depending on if you're face or a heel, well, how would you feel about getting into a program with the cleaner Kenny Omega?
Then, watching him. And I remember when I was living in the dojo with Pro Wrestling Noah back in 2010, and he was in Japan then. It wasn't for New Japan. He wasn't wrestling for New Japan at that point in time. However, he was still wrestling in Japan. And so he knows that crowd. He knows that style, quote unquote. And what he was then and who he is now, character-wise, yes, it's two totally different people. I understand that, but to still be in the, I guess, the ring with him would be nothing short of a great. Pretty much any professional wrestler probably would want to have.
It's something that I would love to see. Whether you guys would wrestle each other or be a tag team or what have you. I would love to see you guys in some kind of program down the line in New Japan. And is there any chances that fans could be looking forward and maybe fans will see you during the big Tokyo Dome show on January 4th, 2017 at Wrestle Kingdom 11?
What I do know is that I'll be in Japan November through December, the week before Christmas, and I don't know. Legitimately, I don't know anything past that. Do I want to? Absolutely. That is there. WrestleMania last year there was 40-something thousand people inside the Tokyo Dome, and it was just that is a goal of mine for sure, and that's without any type of questions whatsoever.
I have no doubt. I'm sure you're gonna reach that goal and you'll get into the Tokyo Dome one day. You know what? If they call on you, and I don't see why they wouldn't. You're a hard worker that seems to give his all in the professional wrestling ring, and I hope they take notice of that.
Well, honestly, as do I. I'm looking forward to making it happen, earning it, and just carrying on the legacy that my dad started, and that I'm going to continue on.
Like aside from the wrestling fans' differences, are you a fan of the travel, and how do you cope with the different cultures once you get over there? Do you enjoy it?
It's a big culture shock, and that's for sure thing. You go over there, and you wouldn't think that a body of water can make that much of a difference, whether you can understand them or some languages like Spanish, we share words that are somewhat similar, so you can kind of figure out what they're saying. But man, you can't understand a lick of what they're saying in Japan, and that's I don't think the mystique behind it, but that's what's great because you have to learn doing stuff, not just in professional wrestling, but in Japan as a whole. If you want to go somewhere, there's one of two ways: either you walk or you take a cab. And it's great to see when you go to Tokyo. And I was just reading an article this morning, actually. Tokyo is claimed by many people who are noteworthy as far as in the travel industry as being the greatest city in the world. And when you go there and you see the things that are there that are not here, man, it's can't put it into words. And it's just something that I looked forward to when I went there the first time, the second time, and I want to do it again now. And I'm sure a lot has changed between now and then, and I'm just ready to go. I'm the traveling. The only thing that really is fun is sitting in a plane for 13 hours when you're elbow to elbow. And, that comes along with it. It's part of the game. It's part of the whole business as an entirety. So you're either in a car, you're in an arena, locker room, or a hotel. It's one of those. It is what it is, and give it and change it for the world.
That is I really think the Japanese culture is pretty amazing and so interesting. And I hope to get there one day, like maybe for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. That's a dream of mine, just to go as a spectator and see how they celebrate that occasion. And, later in November, if you're feeling a little homesick, feel free to hit us up while you're in Japan. Call into the show and let us know how it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. Free time to do it. That's something that I won't even hesitate to think about doing.
Awesome.
Thank you. And one last question for you, Leland. I don't know if Sean has anything else, but I do have one more thing before we close it out here tonight. If you had to choose one name in the professional wrestling business as a whole, it could be any business, any person, that's active in professional wrestling right now. If you had to choose one match to have be in the professional wrestling world, who would it be against?
Are we talking about today's standards or in the history of professional wrestling?
Let's go to you know what? Let's do both. If you had to choose from the past and if you had to choose from today's standards.
Today's standards would be Kurt Angle, without any shadow of a doubt. Just because, number one, he's an Olympic champion. Number two, he is and I don't mean to play on words here, but he is a machine. And as time goes on in a match, he gets stronger. And usually 99.9% of the people out there today is the exact opposite. I put myself in that 0.1% of the people that is. But he would be the person that I would want to be in the ring against by today's standards of superstars. As far as wrestling as a whole, it was one simple answer, and that would be Harley Race.
That would be the best street match right there.
It's something that, trust me and him's been in some throwdowns, and I was putting it lightly. But at the end of the day, that'd be one person that, from a standpoint of learning match psychology and everything in that involves a professional wrestling match, couldn't but him, just because every person that you hear, especially from his era, every wrestler said Harley Race made them. Look at Ric Flair. Look at Bob Backlund. Look at Steamboat. The list is damn near endless. And there's a reason that they say that. There's a reason he is a former 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. When you were NWA champion, it means you were the man. You knew what you were doing. You knew what worked with crowds, what didn't work with crowds, and to share the ring with somebody that has that ability to go in there and hold the crowd in the palm of his hand. Can't replicate that, and that's exactly why I would want to be in the ring with my dad.
Incredible, absolutely incredible, Leland. And I'm just thinking about your career up to this point. This is the last part of the question. Your career up to this point, from when you started to where you're at now, people that you've worked with, who was or what was your favorite program, that you ever had, with a certain wrestler, and who was your favorite match against in your career up to this point?
That is a very
Audio. Wow, we could, man, leave it to Big T to ask the hard-hitting and awesome questions that everyone wants to know. We're going to get him and Leland back here in a second to answer this really great question. Who is Leland's favorite rivalry? What's his favorite angle he's worked in? What was his favorite match he's worked so far? It's, man, what an incredible life to be not only to be the son of a WWE Hall of Famer, but to be such a hard worker and have everything that you love about the wrestling business be, within arm's reach. He has it all. He's the son of a Hall of Famer. He's a 3-time champion, and he's back here with us live on the air.
Sean, can you hear me?
You're back.
Okay, Leland. Sorry about that little interruption, but I'll let you continue with the answer to those questions.
sure. Yeah, it's kind of hard to answer. 14 years worth of matches, and man, my favorite match. I can't answer that. There's a lot of good ones, and a lot of them. Programs. I'd have to say there's probably 3 of them. One would be the one with Trevor Murdoch, because it was done right, and by done right, I mean this is everything that involved the story from start to end. We're still trying to work, but we're still trying to go with it, with the crowd reactions and everything like that. It's wrestling the way that it is meant to be. He would be one of them. Back in my younger / dumber years, a series of matches that I had with Brad Thomas. He was on the East Coast, traveled a lot extensively with Ricky Morton and Bobby Eaton. Bobby being another one of those guys that I love to be in the ring with when he was physically capable of wrestling. Bobby's just an extensive amount of knowledge and wrapped up into a human being as far as professional wrestling is concerned. But let's see, those matches, that series of matches that I had with Brad Thomas was just awesome. Just because we were young and dumb, but matches. And let's see, the last one would be actually something that is somewhat started with myself and a young man by the name of Jaden Phoenix here at WLW. He's very athletic, very his abilities in the ring are coming along quite nicely, and there's just a lot of good stuff that could come out of it, and we're hoping to keep it going.
A lot of great stuff there, and a lot of great stories. Sean, do you have any last questions for Leland?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, Leland, for joining us here tonight, and give you one last plug here for such a great cause. Hope everyone checks out HarleyRace.com for the WLW shows November 5th and November 12th. Get your tickets. Go have fun. It's what the business is all about. And, man, I just wish you all the best of luck with what you got going on the next year. And, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come on here and talk, because that's what I could do without having to break a sweat too much. And you guys could look up the website. It's HarleyRace.com. You could go to my social media page. Mainly, I just use Facebook with the search for Leland Race. I'm on there. Search for World League Wrestling on there. We have a brand new logo that is pretty awesome, if you ask me. And, there's always a way to get a hold of me. There's always a way to come to an event. All of the people that are listening at a future wrestling show, be it for WLW or for any other promotion that I may be attending.
Leland, hopefully I'll get to come out to a show one of these days and, see you and everybody there at WLW work their magic. And like I said, anytime, you would like to come back on the show, or any events that you want promoted, for the show, don't ever hesitate to let me know, and I'll get it out there for the fans. And I just want to say thank you for show.
Audio. So yeah, like Big T was saying, it was such an honor to have Leland Race on the show here with us tonight. Hope all of you enjoyed it. Leave us comments. Let us know what you think. Share the video. This has been a really inside look in everyone's favorite form of entertainment, wrestling. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Share it. Make sure you subscribe to Beyond the Ring with Big T here on YouTube and on iTunes and Podomatic. Beyond the Ring with Big T. Check it out. Big T, we are still waiting for him to get back on here as we close out the show tonight. Let us know what you thought of all of Leland's great stories, all of Leland's potential in the wrestling business. Seems pretty great to me. So let's do a little bit of a recap. November 5th in you could check it out on HarleyRace.com.
Sean?
You're back.
I'm back. Okay, there we go. It took a little while to load to get me back in, but Leland, sorry about that. I was in the middle of telling you. I just want to thank you, for giving us the time and spending time with us here tonight and telling us all the great stories, everything that you've experienced throughout, your lifetime and your career. And I greatly appreciate you being on the show tonight.
It's no problem. I appreciate you guys giving me the time and the place, and I look forward to more of this stuff to come. I'd love to come back on here, talk more. That's what I do best without breaking a sweat, and look forward to meeting the fans at any event that I'm at, and look forward to just keeping professional wrestling, and just like my dad did. And what better way to do that than to go out there and do exactly what he did, and live up to what a third of his reputation is.
And you know what? I look forward to seeing you hopefully on our television sets in the future, and I hope to make it out to Missouri, like I said, to see a couple of shows. And I look forward to having you back on here one day. And I definitely looking forward to it. And another thing, please tell your dad thank you for his contribution to everything in the professional wrestling business, and everything that he's done. And again, Leland, to you, thank you for your contribution in the business as well. It's greatly appreciated.
My pleasure. Again, appreciate you guys being out here, being able to have me on, and just keep on doing what you're doing. You guys are helping professional wrestling, professional wrestlers stay involved and stay open. That's what we need to be doing.
I'm more than happy to do it. More than happy to do it. If, when you get back from Japan, if you're free and you got some time and you got some stories and some more future WLW events, feel free to come back on the show, and we'll be more than happy to have on a future broadcast, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, guys. You have a good night, and I'll talk to you before then. Have a good Thanksgiving, and everybody just keep supporting pro wrestling.
You have a happy Thanksgiving and a great Christmas and New Year's, great holiday season, and We'll be talking with you soon. You have a great night, sir.
All right, thank you.
Good night. Bye. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there you hear it. Great interview from Mr. Leland Race, and I appreciate him so much for coming on the show tonight. And Sean, this was a great thing to be a part of here.
Definitely, man. I'm very very happy with tonight's show. It was an honor to get to speak with Leland and hear all of these amazing stories and insights of the wrestling business as a whole from every corner of the globe.
You know what? I'm extremely humbled. I am humbled to, be able to sit down here and have somebody like Leland tell such a great story. And I'm feeling great right now, man.
Yeah.
And we'll get to have him back on the show, and definitely would be more than happy to have Leland back. No doubt about it.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
So, Sean, this was an epic episode number 24. I don't know if you got anything that you want to add to it.
Well,
you don't.
I just wanted to say happy birthday to the Chico. I mean, the man, Razor Ramon. Happy birthday, Razor Ramon. And congratulations to Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, who announced that they're having a baby girl. So a little bit of good wrestling news to end out my part of the show here tonight. Big T, thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure, and it's getting better and better, man. And I'm so proud of you for you living out your dream. And I'm so happy to be a part of it, and hope everyone enjoyed the show tonight. And we will see you next week for some NXT talent here on the show. Big T is going to tell you more about that. But man, thanks again, and thanks everyone for listening. Share, comment, like, subscribe. Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, as Sean was just talking about here. Wednesday night, 6 days from now, Sean Maluta he's competing in NXT right now. He competed in the Cruiserweight Classic. He's a member of the legendary Anoa'i family. I believe trying to think what else. NXT, the Cruiserweight Classic. I believe that's about it that he's recently doing, but he is currently working in NXT, and look forward to having Sean Maluta on the show. As of right now, it is scheduled for Wednesday, October 26th at 9 p.m. If plans were to change, I will definitely be on here and let you guys know that plans have changed. And, Sean and I would just do a regularly scheduled podcast. But as of right now, this is where we stand. And that's going to be another exciting show. Just again, want to thank Mr. Leland Race for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it. Leland is a stand-up guy. If you want to check out events that Leland is going to be doing for WLW World Wrestling, World League Wrestling, WLW, that is going to be on November 5th. Go to HarleyRace.com. HarleyRace.com for all the details to get your tickets to check out WLW and see Harley Race in action. He said he's the current number one contender for the WLW championship, so you could see him in action contending for the heavyweight championship. So make sure you go on out if you're in the Missouri area. Check out HarleyRace.com for WLW on November 5th and November 12th. But anyway, Leland Race for being here tonight. Thank you to Sean for being here tonight. And of course, you guys know this is the end of episode number 24. Next week on episode number 25, another big week. So we got to close out episode number 24 tonight. EC3, two-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion, is going to send us on off into the sunset and close out episode number 24. Again, thank you to Mr. Leland Race. I've been your host, Big T, tonight, and Sean and I will see you next week for episode number 25. So thank you for watching. Here's EC3. Episode number 25 next week. Good night, everybody.
Well, this is EC3 of TNA Wrestling, and you are so very fortunate because you are watching Beyond the Ring with Big T.